Welcome to Rise Up in Business, the law podcast for small business owners. I'm your host, Tracy Myler-Crane. I'm a business lawyer, an entrepreneur, and very much a realist. Rise Up in Business is designed to share with small business owners important legal information and some clever tips and tricks in short and sharp episodes, no legal jargon. With this podcast, I want to empower small business owners to rise up and take control in their business. I'll be here every Wednesday to tell you what you need to know without sending you to sleep. Let's get into today's episode. Hello everyone and welcome back to Season 4 of the Rise Up in Business podcast. And as you know, in this season, I am bringing on some impressive guests to talk about their unique businesses and the different ways they help small business owners. Today is no exception. Today I am bringing on Michelle Broadbent. Michelle is a very clever, very driven businesswoman who I have a great deal of respect for. She has a unique ability to cut through the noise, and let's be honest, we all need that. And she's able to identify and draw out areas in business that really need attention. Michelle runs her own business supporting women in business, and she's known by so many as a wingwoman in business. Indeed, I use Michelle as a wingwoman in my business when I need that support. Michelle, welcome.
Tracy, thank you so much. It's so good to be here and for that really beautiful introduction. It's always weird hearing people introduce me, but that was really beautiful, and thank you so much for that introduction and for having me here today.
My absolute pleasure. I'm so delighted that you were able to join me. I really wanted to bring you on to talk about, well, our similar drivers in business, which is to support and empower women in business. I find that you and I, we've known each other for a long time, and there's a real synergy with what we do. And so I wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I see you. You are absolutely like an extension of my business. I think because we are both in the pain prevention business, I think that is like a common mission that we have. You know, I want everyone to know that running a business doesn't need to be hard and that they don't need to do things the hard way. And, you know, I know that we have that as a common goal. And yeah, that's why I see you as just a really important, vital part of the service that I offer to my clients.
I love that. The synergy is real, isn't it, between you and I? For my listeners' benefit, I refer clients to Michelle for Michelle to look after them, and Michelle refers her clients to me to look after them. So we have a really genuine synergy, and we both really believe that whilst there's so much going on in business, we don't have to do it all alone. And that, I think, is just priceless. And I suppose just a nice segue into what I wanted to talk to you about, Michelle, is overwhelm. Oh my gosh, overwhelm is real. And I know that you see this a lot.
I do. I absolutely do. I mean, it sounds awful, but it is such a big piece of the work that I do. Overwhelmed female entrepreneurs are my specialty. Often when women come to me, they are usually at that anywhere between the sort of 18 months and 3-year mark in their business. And generally they have been doing everything themselves. You know, they started off their business, they didn't know what they didn't know, and they have quite literally been flying by the seat of their pants up until the point where they come to me, and I would say 9 times out of 10 when they get to me, they are pretty broken. And it is because they have been doing everything themselves. They have been working so hard, building their business, being scrappy, doing all the things, serving their clients, doing all the proactive business building activity, you know, showing up on social media, doing the finances, like doing absolutely everything themselves. And usually other aspects of their lives are compromised. They are missing out on opportunities. They're, you know, I mean, not to paint a super bleak picture, but often their personal lives are impacted. Their health is impacted. Their relationships are impacted. And they know that life shouldn't be that way, but they have completely lost, they just don't know what to do next. They don't know how to break that cycle. So when they come to me, I give very much about like practical solutions and advice, but I also meet them where they are, Tracy. And I know that that's why I have so much confidence when I refer clients to you when they need that legal support, because I know that there's not this judge Judy-ness about either of us. It's like, people don't know what they don't know before they come to us. So it's like meeting someone where they are. I don't just provide the practical support, but they get the emotional support as well.
Oh, and I can attest to that, because there have been times, Michelle, that I've come to you just saying, oh, I think I just need a sounding board. I've got all these moving parts and I don't know which ones I need to go with and which ones I need to let go. And oh my gosh, and the whole world's about to end. And you just have this beautiful sense of calm, but in a real no bullshit type of way. Identifying it, cutting through it. Tracy, this is where we need to focus. This is what we need to let go of. Let's talk more about this and let's put some support in place for this. And you know what? Not once, I love the Judge Judy-ness that you've mentioned, because not once in all the time I've known you, have you ever done that Judge Judy-ness. And it takes a lot for women to ask for help, because we're so hard on ourselves that there's like this internal angst almost to reach out to another businesswoman whom we perceive as successful and doing all the things, to say, oh, I need some help, please. It's hard.
I think too, Trace, because a lot of the businesses that I support, they're service-based businesses. So essentially, my clients are the helpers. They are the helpers to their clients. So as the helper, it's often really difficult to be the one to stick up your hand and go, I'm drowning here and I need help. And I am like, I'm putting my hand up here. The listeners can't see it, but I am one of those people who is very bad at that. So it's almost like, the service that I provide is the service that I need in return.
And you know what? A really brilliant starting point for at least my thinking, and I know that I've referred clients to you and I've had some brilliant feedback on just sorting out their head, sorting out their strategy, sorting out their plan for their way forward. One of my favourite things to refer back to, and it's printed out on my desk, is something that you prepared, and I got it from one of your emails because I'm on your mailing list, which is just jam-packed with value, by the way, is your template for working out the ideal week. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. So look, I think one of the big things that I focus on when I'm working with my clients is getting them comfortable being in the driver's seat of their life. A lot of women, when they start their own business, they have worked for somebody else. They've worked for a big corporation, and it's a new concept that they are actually in charge of how their life runs, that they are not beholden to the man and the meetings and the this and the that goes along with working in the corporate space. Without that predetermined structure, a lot of people go into free fall, and that's when the overwhelm starts. So what I do is help women position themselves back in the driver's seat. And one of the strategies that I use is having them set up their ideal week how they want it to be, according to what they need, as opposed to everyone else. Because as women, we are so available to everybody else. A lot of us got kids, partners, friends, all the other aspects of our lives, and we're just not used to putting ourselves first. And doing this ideal week exercise is a way of taking that step and putting yourself back in control of your own life.
I think it's a powerful tool, but I've got to say, I found it very confronting the first time I did it, because I didn't know what to do with it. So as you say, the women in the world being all things to all people, and we're running a business and we're wearing all of the hats, and the juggle is real in the rhetoric sense. Sitting down with a blank canvas, which was this blank piece of paper, trying to work out what I wanted my week to look like, it took me a long time. And I always refer back to it, as I say, it's a printout, it's on my desk, because it's a reminder, because these things, and I imagine you will agree with this, but I find these things are not set and forget.
Nope. Absolutely not. And I talk about that actually in my Business Boost email that's gone out this month. Is I talk about the fact we are recording this while we're in lockdown. I had my ideal week. I also have mine printed out in front of me on my noteboard. And I had my original ideal week staring me in the face, almost mocking me while I have been here in lockdown. And for the first couple of weeks, it was still there. And then one of the most, I think, powerful things that I have done is I actually took it down, ripped it up, and wrote a new one, because my ideal week while in lockdown looks very, very different to what my ideal week was out of lockdown. But what doing that exercise for me was that I can still have control over a situation that does feel very much out of my control. And it's not just during lockdown that I refresh that ideal week. It's often at the beginning of the school year when the kids have all their new dates for their activities and the days that they're going to be starting school earlier. So that gives me a little bit more time, and just all of those things to factor in. So it absolutely isn't a set and forget. It needs to be refined. But on that template that I have all of the different elements of life just dotted down the bottom of the page to remind you of all of the parts of us, that we are not just work and the client meetings and the finance time and the social media writing and all the things that we do in our businesses. There is so much more to us than that.
That was very helpful for context, and I think that's why I found it so confronting sitting down to prepare what my ideal week would look like, because there are a lot of moving pieces. And we forget about that, which I think is one of the things you do so well, is supporting women and just holding space for them to appreciate all of those things and to take the pressure off. So certainly priceless in my world, and I know so valuable to so many. And what we're going to do is just pop the link to the ideal week in the show notes, because if you haven't heard of this concept, then I strongly urge you to get on this, because it really is something that I find to be empowering, and it's a really valuable resource to be able to refer back to in business, because as we say, it's not set and forget. On that, Michelle, how can people sign up to your newsletter? Because your Business Boost podcast and newsletter, can you just tell us about that? Because I really would like people to know about these, because they actually have such practical value that can be implemented right now.
Oh, thank you. That's absolutely my aim. So I have a podcast. It's called Your Business Boost. And every week I provide strategies, tips, hacks to boost your business, and also life as well. So I try and balance out a lot of the business information with some life hacks as well. And I have a monthly email that goes out, which is different content. So it's not like what you hear on the podcast is what goes out in the newsletter. The newsletter is sort of an expansion of that, and I share information on there that I don't share on my social media or in the podcast. So you can sign up if you go to my website, which is michellebroadbent.com.au, and there's a sign up box on the website, and you can sign up, and I send that out in the middle of the month every month. And my sole focus for that is to add value and to boost the lives and the businesses of the people that receive it.
And mission accomplished, can I say, because they are jam-packed with value. Thank you so much for sharing that and for joining me today for this chat. It is just so practical, and I think that what we've chatted about is what people need to hear right now. So I'm really delighted that we were able to have this conversation today.
Thank you. It was so good to be here. I've really enjoyed it.
Before we go, I've got 3 quick and snappy questions for you, if that's okay.
Yep, okay.
Okay, you ready? Okay.
I'm strapped in, yes.
Okay, first one. What is the best business advice that you've received?
The best business advice, well, I guess it's business / life advice, and that is, don't climb the mountain until you're on it. I heard it on a podcast when I was going through a particularly crappy time in my life, and it is just one of those bits of advice that it's like burnt into my brain, and I refer back to it so often. So yeah, that's definitely the best piece.
That is good. I love that. Second, what is the worst business advice that you've received?
God, this is hard, Tracy, to think of the worst. But I don't know if it's necessarily advice. It's more just that feeling that having more education and doing another course and having more letters after your name is worth more than experience.
Oh, that is good. That is good. That's very, very deep, actually. That'll resonate with a lot of people. And third and final, if you had the chance, what advice would you give to your younger self?
You are capable of more than you realise.
Ooh, fantastic. Love it. Love it, Michelle. Thank you so much. Thank you for those answers. Thank you for your wisdom today and your insight. It's been amazing. Listeners can get in touch with you via the notes that we will include in the show notes, via the website. What's your Instagram handle?
So it's at Mish, M-I-C-H, Broadbent. So you can follow me on there. I'm a pretty regular poster. So yeah, I'd love to connect with you on there.
Brilliant. And we'll put that in the show notes as well as the link to the Ideal Week, which I just cannot recommend highly enough.
Aww.
Michelle, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tracy.
That's it for today's episode. Short and sharp, just like I promised. If you liked the episode, please be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes, and I would be most grateful if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts. As always, remember to keep your business legals in order with my annual legal checklist. You can grab your free copy by heading over to my website, tmsolicitor.com.au/checklist. I'll catch you next week. Thanks so much for listening.